you look around, there are plenty of jobs out there. There are signs every place you go for hire, for hire, for hire. And everything's online, on the phones. So I wanted to shift our mission to connecting people with opportunities that lead to careers.
Not today. It's your innovation coach, Rob Jackson, and welcome to another edition of the Innovate Guam podcast, podcast where we explore all things innovation, technology, and improvement related to the island of Guam. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow me on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and Substack. My podcasts drop at the beginning of each week. Also, be sure to check out my Innovate column in the Pacific Daily News every first and third Friday of each month. All right, our guest for today's podcast is the director of the Guam Department of Labor. He was reappointed to that position in January of 2019. His prior leadership roles in Guam government include Director, Agency of Human Resources Development, Director, Department of Youth Affairs, Director of the Department of Labor for 12 years prior to that. He also has private sector background, including 15 years in various executive management roles. He has a bachelor's degree in business administration from the University of Guam, and his statutory board roles in his current job in the Department of Labor include Wage and Hour Commissioner, Workers' Compensation Commissioner, Hearing Officer, Member, Guam Workforce Development Board, Member, Regional Workforce Development Council. Ladies and gentlemen, I give to you Mr. David Dell'Isola. How you doing, David?
I'm doing good, boy. After hearing that bio, I'm already tired.
Hey, we got to make you sound like the superstar you are.
Oh, I appreciate that. I appreciate those kind words. I hope they feel the same way after we're done.
You have such an important role here in Guam. And, the theme of this podcast is what can we do to uplift Guam in terms of innovation, in terms of economic development, in terms of quality of life. And each one of those three areas really depend on the people and the workers and having the right workers in the right place to enable innovation, to enable economic development, to enable better quality of life here on the island. So you're right smack dab in the middle of where all of that comes together. So I'm excited to have you on the podcast to talk about that. Now, before we get into the meat of the podcast, we always start off here. We have a tradition of icebreaker questions to kind of see where your head is at in terms of innovation. So, the first question I have to you is what is your definition of innovation and what does innovation mean to you?
Well, that's a good question. Thank you. Innovation is basically finding smarter ways to work, and there's numbers of ways. Um, I always considered myself an idea man. I think that's my biggest strength.
Mm,
We sit down with my staff and we have a problem, or we have something like a PUA or something like that. I'm able to throw a lot of the things up on the wall that are way out of the box, fringe out of the box, and in the box. And some of them kind of take back on those way out of the box, but you got to stimulate thinking. And when you
yes.
stimulate them by throwing things that are really out there, then they start saying, wait a minute, that's not a good idea. Then you're already stimulating the conversation. And that's usually the best way to start the ice breaking about innovation, new ways. You got to stop doing the government way and relaxing. Oh, that's the way we've always done it. That's the way. And
Absolutely.
that is so hard to break. And I think that's one of my strengths. And maybe not a lot of them, but I think that's one of my biggest strengths is getting people to introduce innovation, new thinking, new ways of working. And it's constantly pounding it in to slowly make those changes because you can't do it fast because it won't stick. You have to introduce it and do it slowly and let people get used to the walking and then jogging and then running. And then the next thing you know, you're doing something different. And
Yeah.
that's the way I see it. Uh, and innovation, um, I thought it was really big when I first stepped in. But, now that I'm near the twilight, it's really going to be huge. And we're already behind the curve with the AI. And
Yes.
that is going to create a quantum shift in integration and innovation. And it's exciting. I mean, I wish this happened 10 years, 15 years ago in my career because I would really love to get this steering and start getting this going. And I just came back from a NASWA conference in Dallas, and 1,000 people all over the states and
What conference
territories.
was that again?
That was a NASWA workforce innovation conference, and they
Okay.
invited me. It was basically all about AI and how people can use it in the workplace. And everybody's first initial impression is that, oh, I'm gonna lose my job for AI. And they were drilling and drilling that this ain't going to happen overnight. And what's happening is now are people becoming more efficient, being able to do more with uh, AI instead of, and they gave us live examples. These caseworkers who are only able to handle 10 cases because they got to do all the inputting it, they got to put all the information in, and they got to work on reports. And now they're able to use AI and it generates everything so much faster that they spend less time on the paperwork side and more time servicing the caseworker. So and better servicing the caseworker so they can handle twice as many case uh,
Yeah.
participants or clients now that they're so much more efficient. And it was a little overwhelming because I'm a little behind the curve. I just started using AI on my phones and stuff because I'm a little bit between the PUAs and the DUA programs and getting everything squared away. Uh, um, the more I use it, the more I'm saying, wow, this is crazy great. I want to
Yes.
have that. And that's what I've learned from everybody who started it. And we've already started surveying our people here. So we're already starting to take those steps. It may be slow, but you got to start somewhere. And now's the time to do it.
Innovation leaders, it's your innovation coach, Rob Jackson here. Are you ready to elevate your vehicle fleet operations? Fleet Solutions is an AI-enabled fleet management system. Fleet Solutions provides real-time video, smart analytics, and total efficiency. Keep your people safe and keep your business moving forward faster than ever before. Fleet Solutions, arriving tomorrow, today. Visit thefleetsolutions.net or call 671-988-9748 to schedule your personalized demo and revolutionize your fleet operations today. You can snap your fingers today and remove one Guam workforce bottleneck tomorrow. Which would it be and why? And what innovative process, procedure, or piece of technology would be needed to make this a reality? So
Well,
over to you.
like I said, fresh from that conference, I got AI in my brain. So I'm
AI,
like,
yeah.
how it is when you come back from a conference, you're all excited. And so that technology, I was able to meet with our software vendor, GSOL, who does our Hire Guam. And they also did the PUA and DUA system. And I sat down with them for a while, and they are starting to incorporate AI into our software. It's still early,
No, do
but
you also,
go ahead.
I'm sorry, I was going to say, do you also know that I work with a network of some really sharp um, entrepreneurs who are young people native to Guam who started their own AI agencies here on Guam, and they're working with small businesses and stuff. And they're looking for the opportunity to work with government agencies and stuff to apply agentic AI to solving problems and making government as well as small businesses on the island more efficient. So are you looking for um,
You're
a
you
big
kind of took the words
company kind of
out of
solution,
my
or
mouth because we're still very much in the infancy. We need to get a understanding of all my staff, 100 and some, where they at. Are they using it? Are they familiar
yeah,
with it? Because not everybody's on the same level, and we got to get everybody to at least start understanding it. Last week, I was on a conference call with Region and the Deputy Secretary of Labor, and they were asking me what is it that we need, as they always do. And one of my things that I wanted them to make sure that they understood is that we need some AI training out here, and
mm,
people are kind of lost. And I need to get our staff trained up so that they can in turn start helping clients understand how to use AI. And I
yeah,
think that is something government wide that what you're offering is great, is a little bit before, is a little bit, we need to get people first to understand what AI is, how does it work, and how it can help them so that they're comfortable enough. And yes, I I did a call out to our region and saying that not only training, but we also need to better understand how it can be used, how it can create efficiencies. So that's what's tough of being all the way over here, and in government, people are used to doing it the way that they always done.
yes,
It took a
yeah.
long
So
time to translate from them the old manual way to the higher Guam way, which is an automated way. That took years and years. And now AI is going to be a whole quantum shift that needs to be slowly introduced so that, as I kind of said earlier, you can't just jump in and slam and tell them everything's AI now. The software is AI. You got to start using it. You got to start getting their toes in the water and slowly working their bodies in to get used to it so that they can embrace it and start to learn it. So I want to get that ball rolling very rapidly because once they start getting used to it and feeling it, then they're going to start understanding how it can help them and not, oh, it's going to replace me or, oh, I'm going to lose my job. And that's always the first impression of anything that is new. And computers, oh man, I'm done the manual way. I got to learn computers or I'm going to lose my job. Or the computers are going to, remember when computers were introduced, everybody thought they were going to lose their jobs. I mean, I was there, you know, and, but it's a tool. It'll help us get efficient. It'll help us better serve our clients, and it'll better get our reports out because we spend an enormous amount of time getting federal reportings requirements out. And if those can
absolutely,
start to happen in one third the time, then that'll be a big help. The other little
yeah,
shift, uh, I will cover this later, and believe it or not, is the H-2B program. If I could snap my finger, that program where we controlled it other than in construction is where I think our biggest bottleneck is and could hamper us for our economic growth. I know you want me
yeah.
to
So I
go
look
in
forward to
or
talking.
later, that we can do whatever you like.
Yeah, I look forward to talking a little bit later in the podcast about H2 B visa and what it is and how it helps Guam and what kind of recommendations. But moving on,
Mhm.
um, can you tell me about kind of what fueled your passion to want to do government service to lead you to where you are right now?
Well, I've always had a passion for helping people. It was ingrained in me very young. Um, I don't know, my uncle and my godfather who brought me here to Guam, who I stayed with, is Governor Coteras. And he was one that instilled in me the, the mindset of helping people. When people come to you with their problems, it may be small to you, but to them, it's their biggest problem. And growing up and answering his door every day with people asking for this, asking for that, asking for help, it kind of got ingrained in me that, even here at Labor today, 30% of what I do is helping people solve their problems that has nothing to do with labor. It may be with their power. It may be with public works. It may be with utilities or getting things done. But the one benefit of me working here for as long as I did, since the early 90s, is that I have a strong network of friends and acquaintances that if you have a problem, I can usually pick up that phone and get you to the right person to help you. And once these people are helped, it's a big relief. And that was something that um, it was PUAs and the DUA problems. I mean, the one thing they used to call me is Disaster Dave because ever since I've been in labor, I've Paka, Pong Song Hwa, the earthquakes, the KAL crash, every the every disaster practically hits. And I said that when I first joined. And I said, I don't know what can hit after that. And then the pandemic, COVID hit. And I said, oh, can it get any worse? And then right after that, MOAR. So helping people through disasters and helping people on this island is ingrained in me and gives me more pleasure than anything else. It gives me a lot of satisfaction.
Okay. Well, great. So let's get into the meat of our discussion here. Now,
Mhm.
you've often stressed that workforce development is about meaningful careers, not just specific jobs. You have a program, supporting in-school youth through seniors. Can you talk a little bit about what the Guam Department of Labor is doing to operationalize that career path for life, starting with folks as seniors in high school and kind of throughout their adult life? Can you talk a little bit about that strategy?
uh, I can talk a lot about that. And you're hitting one of my passions. The one thing that was a biggest shift in the American Job Center and the way they do business was that when I first came in, it was a you're unemployed, let me help you get a job, or let me
Mm,
get you a training. And I saw these people coming out holding a certificate saying, "Oh, I got training. Now I need a job." you know? And I sat there and said, that's it. We're not going to concentrate on certificate. I don't want to send anybody into any training that doesn't directly connect to a job. And basically, I shifted, I'm shifting, doing the best at the AJC to nowadays, you look around, there are plenty of jobs out there. There are signs every place you go for hire, for hire, for hire. And everything's online, on the phones. So I wanted to shift our mission to connecting people with opportunities that lead to careers. And that
careers,
is
yes.
my whole mind shift. With the apprenticeship program, I've more than quadrupled the numbers of apprenticeship because you get to earn, learn, and you get a certificate that is recognized nationwide, and you got a career path. So
Can you talk
practically
in
every,
a little bit more in depth about the apprenticeship program, in detail so folks know about Guam's apprenticeship program?
yeah. The one thing I wanted to say, Guam leads the nation per capita in apprenticeship. And the
Wow, that's a
U.S.
great.
Department of Apprenticeship offices recognize that, and they recognize the GRAP, the Guam Registered Apprenticeship Program, as a leading program that they highlight in some of the apprentices conferences that I go, because this is our funding. Because the one thing about apprentices, when it first came out in the early 2000s, they gave us a big lump sum to help people get into apprenticeship. And like anything else, once you got hooked, it slowly decreased to where it's only funding a staff member's office and stuff. So one thing we're able to do is get a state apprenticeship office so we can approve the apprenticeship programs. That was a huge undertaking and accomplishment that we accomplished in the Camacho
How
administration.
many people in that office?
Right now, we have only 3 people, and I am looking to grow it. We are just passing the rules and regulations for the GRAP program where we can get 2.5%, and that will help us fund of the proceeds for the 50% tax credit. I know I'm jumping around a lot, so you people may not understand, but that money will enough to hold 2 more people, probably higher. Initially, I was hoping to get BEAD money, but that looks like it's kind of shifting around with the new administration. That workforce initially was going to get 5 million, and I was going to be able to use that to help our stand up our apprenticeship office better and stronger. But it's self-funding, so we've identified that 2.5%, and our GRAP program is an $11 million tax saving program to local companies. That's demand driven. That helps employers directly. And that's another thing. If you ever heard me talk about GRAP, I can talk for hours. And we just had that big uh, GRAP forum that we had in the end of April. I don't know, at the Hyatt, and where I'm trying to expand it to all small businesses because GRAP is the best thing that's out there. And what
What is
GRAP,
it limited to right now?
it's not limited to anything. Only thing that limits you is that you can't have a QC and that you have to be paying taxes because it's a 50% tax credit. So if you're not paying
Right.
taxes, then you can't take advantage of the system. So in a nutshell, what GRAP is that, and people think apprenticeship as trades only, the carpenters and the masons and stuff like that. The GRAP apprenticeship program is for administrative work, is for accountants, it's for automotive mechanics, it's for all levels in your offices. And what you do is you take your seasoned personnel, you come up, you hire the person who may not have the credentials, but goes into a apprenticeship program, and you get to write off 50% of his or her salary, and the mentor's salary is 50%. And
Mm,
they go through like a 2 year structured program that, since we're an apprenticeship office, that we design. And out of that, you can get a certificate. Our biggest users are the cell phone companies because you're familiar, customer service rep. When you call them up, they're not just saying, "Oh, what can you help you with?" They're trying to handle your problem right then and there. So they have to have
right.
a broad understanding of how they can fix your problem because they can't send everybody to the techs because they'd be inundated. And 90% of the time it's, "Oh, I can't make you do this. I can't." And they can just go on with training and take care of their problems and eliminate the tech calls by 70%. And
Right.
the techs can train their apprentices. So in a lot of the cell phone companies, they're already up in executive positions because they started in the GRAP program and worked their way up. Same thing is happening with the automotive. You know, they're having a hard time finding mechanics and good salespeople, administrative assistants. Now they can get one master mechanic and they can come in and train another one. Train a person that wants to do it, that maybe is a backyard mechanic, get them trained, certified, 50% of his salary, 50% of that salary. And they've done it all across their industry. We've done trucking, we're introducing it to the healthcare. So that is like going viral. And we're trying to keep up with that program. And that is recognized nationwide as a program for other states to model because they love it that it's self-funding, you know, and
Yes.
they're not always coming and asking for federal monies. And
Yes.
that's where I see our future is. And that's why I've concentrated so hard on that program and apprenticeship because that gives people a hand up, not a handout. You earn and
Right.
learn. You get a certificate recognized nationwide, and you got a career with a meaningful salary and not a living wage. You can't ask for a better program than that. And that's where I'm
Yeah.
concentrating our efforts on is that there are jobs everywhere. You want to be a waiter, you want to fold beds, you want to do this, you want to do that. They're hurting for that. But nobody wants that. They're having a hard time because our kids are the people out of COVID that came out of the hotels, they were all looking for careers. And our year-round school program, I know I'm jumping everywhere, so I'm just going to keep hitting you with all these programs. Our year-round youth program, another something that we introduced a couple of years ago, where we take these kids, juniors and seniors, mostly starting at juniors, if you don't mind me talking about this one, and
Oh, go ahead, please.
it complements DYA's program, which I did. That's where I got my start was Department of Youth Affairs back in '94. And then I shifted over to the Department of Labor in '98. But they hire kids to kind of introduce them to the world of work, and they place them throughout the government. Ours is that we go into the schools and we work with the counselors and the teachers, and we identify those kids who are not at risk, but low income, that don't have anywhere. They're not going to go to college. And once they get out of school, they need a career path or a job. So
Right.
we take them, and they in Christmas and in Easter we pay them, and they do go through job training, job skills, and uh, if they want to get into like a trade type program, we put them in Guam trades, and then in the summer they work in a private sector in a job where they're interested. So our goal
Is this
is,
like a boot camp format?
yeah, well, in Christmas internship program, and
Okay.
so by the time, and it's 2 years because it's your junior and senior year, and we're having great success. Those who finish in the senior year end up working for the companies that they were working for. They've already had 2 years. They've already know the value of working, how to work, and they've been introduced to that job. So in the hospitality, in the all the different from all these different industries, we come to you and it is designed for what you want, not what you expected to want to do when you get out of school. So if you're interested in going in the hotels, we put you in an internship program, and you earn the whole time you're in our program. You're in a stipend, and it doesn't cost the companies anything to train them
Yeah.
or to work with them. So that is a great program that we've been doing. And of course, we have our work experience programs, which are very similar. Those are for the older people who lack work but want to get into a job where we pay up to 6 months of salary for an employer to hire that person and to try them, train them. And if you like them, then you hire them. And we have
What's
like
the requirements for that program?
all our programs which are federally funded have income based. So
Income based. Yeah.
yeah, uh, and that the good thing about the GRAP, there's no income base. There's
Okay.
no restriction other than you wanting to learn and that company wants to train you. So
What
that's
about programs specifically targeted to like the veteran population?
veterans. So we have two veteran persons here at the AJC that solely handle the priority services for our veterans. And it is custom for what their needs are. And they go through a lot of training and help. So if a veteran comes in, we sit down with them, we identify what their training they might need or what they're interested in, and we have a dedicated persons that will work, whether they got to go through, you know, our partner and close GCC trades, and we have a great partnership with Guam Contractors Association, especially with the GRAP program, because if you're a member, they help you go through all the hoops and hurdles of joining our GRAP program, our Guam Registered Apprenticeship
Right.
program. They have the rules, they have the regs, they have a lot of the stuff, and they handhold you. So they provide a great service for their members, and I always encourage them to go that route. But we also have all the templates. We made it as easy as possible. But the veterans, it's whatever their needs. Wherever we go, we try to train them to where they want to go. Because as you always know, trying to place them into a job that they don't really want, you're not going to have great success. It's where do you
Right.
want to go? Where do you have that interest? We'll train you. We'll try to get you those tools, and we'll help you get into that business. And hopefully, we have success. You know, it all depends. But that we have dedicated persons. So veterans is always priority of service.
Okay. Let's talk about kind of big picture strategy here. One of the things that we talk about a lot on this podcast is the idea of this vision of Guam being a 21st century tech and innovation hub. And the path to get there is really through kind of building a network of cottage industries that are providing support services, logistics, sustainment, maintenance, repair and overhaul, et cetera, to the defense industry and the military forces that are here. And then hopefully, if um, the technology grows in that area, then commercial workloads will start being attracted to the island. What right now is the Department of Labor doing to kind of help engender that cottage industries of maintenance, repair, overhaul, logistics, sustainment for like shipbuilding or aircraft maintenance or heavy equipment repair or even light manufacturing that was identified in the transshipment task force? What kind of things are being done in that area?
That's a hell of a question, a good question. And I just have to focus on where best to answer that question. And um, I know I alluded to the H2 program, uh, and I think that is our key to economic diversity. And I can explain how that can help. Uh, what you're talking about is already the military is taking care of it through contractors that are coming in and working and doing their thing. So they will always take care of themselves. They uh, steal from our local workforce and they go into it. They also have a very good internship program, for like contract specialists. I don't know if you know that, but it is a hell of a program.
Yes.
uh, my wife was one of those people that in the program, and now she's a contract supervisor. And you know that is a model that is was great, but that is also when you one of those finger clips, snaps. If you could change things, One of that is
Yes.
if we can get the military to help us put as those people, those specialists, those cottage industry people that are already working, if we can introduce our local people to assist and to work and to train for sustainability, and that's how we kind of attack and approach it. Is that we got to, the military just brings them in, and there's a lot of companies, contractors that are having this big money that they come in, they satisfy it, and then they leave. And unfortunately, Guam is in the middle of nowhere. We don't have a grid of people that we can just grab. So it's not like you can just develop this industry and wait for them to be used. You need They need to be working and earning and learning at the same time. And I'm trying to
Yeah.
stay within because not go all over the place here. Uh,
No, you're hitting all of the right kind of points. I think that that's kind of you're getting to the chicken or egg kind of argument, right? Um, the idea, if you build it, they will come kind of thing, but then there's risk involved in that. But there's so many different defense firms right now who would like to take advantage of organic, local, um, Guam labor folks,
yeah,
so they don't have to import in specialty folks as like high price mercenaries, if you will, who stay here for a year or two and then they go back to the States or whatever. It would be nice if, we invested ahead of the specific, but also as these contracts are being let out to these big defense primes and stuff like that, that we can work public-private partnerships with contractual language that says X amount of your workforce is going to be organically, and putting in the contract requirements for internships, apprenticeships, workforce and training development kind of stuff. Because again, they're not going to do it just out of the nicest of their heart. They follow what the contract says. So again, if those things, those requirements are embedded in the contract, they're going to
totally
respond to
agree.
that, particularly if they're incentivized to do that. So, like the days of old when we had a ship repair facility here and we had 800 or 1,000 or so government workers, it's not going to look like that anymore. What it's really going to look like more of is some big contract that's put out between one or more defense primes. They win that contract, but now they're looking for organic Guam or Micronesian companies and workforce to be able to execute on that. So if we can be able to provide that to those defense firms and say, we have the infrastructure, we got the people, we got the environment for you to be able to execute on. Just come in, boom, they're ready to go.
I can't agree with you more. And I was going to go there is that we need to have it built in so that when they come here, there's a certain amount of local hiring and training that is needed and required. Because, what I'm looking at now is sustainability. They're going to build this huge base, and after it's all built, they're going to leave maintenance, uh, uh, you know, uh, and sustainability of all those buildings and keeping them up and doing all that needs to come locally, not just hired outside. And if it is hired outside, they need to bring in a certain amount of locals to incorporate it so that they can be trained up because we lack.
Even further up the technology ladder, not just the buildings and the base infrastructure, but the weapon systems that come through here. Whether you're talking about ships, whether you're talking about submarines, aircraft, drones. We're getting ready to start drone manufacturing on the island now. All of those different things are going to need workforce, and they're going to need specialty people who know how to fit into that. So those kind of opportunities being um, set up in advance to be a feeder to those kind of industries, I think is important.
Yes. The biggest problem that we have is that we just don't have the people right now to fill them. But what we need to do is have those opportunities there, and the people will start coming in and going over to them. Our graduates in the States may say, okay, there's a great job opportunity. I'll come back to Guam and get into those things with those nice defense contractors and stay on Guam and get jobs on Guam. Because, you know, the biggest problem I'm having is this military's having, Gov Guam's having, everybody is finding uh, educated technicians or people that have the degrees or the right training to step into those positions, because you need to have a certain level before you can just step in and start being trained up.
Correct.
And we don't have that. So what we need to do is start growing it, and the
You
people
want
will
to talk a
come.
little bit about what you're doing already in the maritime and ship repair? Because I think that's a great example of, what's already being done through GCC,
See,
Trades Academy, and your office to kind of build back that capability. So at least now you can build back that ship repair capability and have a workforce pipeline to feed that so that that work comes back here. That's just one
that was
example.
something. Yeah, and that was something that took time. And working with the Cabris Marines, Cab Tub, Guam Shipyard, as remember that industry closed out and went away, and then
Yeah,
all this with all this buildup and more ships coming in, the military all of a sudden said, we need to stand it up. We need to get going. So we started it.
yeah,
We probably had about 15, 20 boot camps just in ship repair. And uh,
yes,
uh, we just had a Western Pacific Maritime Academy join us as
yes.
a
I saw
training
that in
provider.
the news.
That's a new training provider to us. And they're starting to
Yes,
open up the door. And like I said, the ship repair is one of our biggest uh, uh, boot camps and feeder now programs for our local people. And we are
yes,
constantly putting that out. And, and that was only accomplished through partnerships. Us, trades, GCC, the military, and the companies where they're working, whether it be Guam Shipyard or Cabris Marine. Uh,
yes,
they're, they are because once they get out of that boot camp, they're going straight into our apprenticeship program,
yeah,
and they're going right in
yeah,
there, and in 4 years they are journeymen in whatever ship repair uh, work that they're doing, and they are a certified, recognized in the nation, and that is a perfect model that we had to grow slowly, introduce it to our people. It took a while to get those uh, um, to get it working right with the right kind of formula, because you got a lot of people coming in and they were hiring and then they were going out. But now we seem to get a good understanding. People understand now because every time I talk to those graduation ceremonies, and and they happen a lot, I look at each one of them and I say, your job now is to get your cousins, your brothers, your family members, get them off that couch and say, look, I did it. You can do it. I'm in a good paying job. I'm in a good career path. There's no reason why you can't, because you know how it is on this island. They don't want to be pioneers. They want to say, oh, sheesh, my cousin did it and I'm smarter than him. So I'm going to do it. You know how that is. Oh, if that idiot
yes,
did it, then I can do it. And that's how it's gotten to be. So now that we have boot camps, we're able to fill them and we just keep doing it. And that's how We're also doing it in the healthcare, the CNA. We're doing a lot of boot camps with that, in the trucking, diesel mechanics, all these boot camps that we're working on. They're all going in there, getting a taste of it, getting a good understanding, so that when they start working in the apprenticeship, they are already starting with good ethics, good integrity, and good work uh, understandings that they can have better success in staying into the business. Because apprenticeship isn't easy. 4 years of working and going through education is a lot of work, but they
Yeah.
all are worth it because, as I said, I'm in the business of careers, not just giving
Yes.
jobs, because there are plenty of jobs.
Yes.
I want to do careers. And just in the
Yes.
GRAP program, we're 800 people. That's a huge number
And
for,
careers lead to people getting to the middle class. And with a
yeah,
strong middle class, you have the kind of economic or economy, stable economy that you want. You want people in the middle class with good paying
and out
jobs.
of the welfare roles and into it. And I spent a lot of times in these graduations, and not only in that industry, but we've hit heavily in GPA. They, we've been doing a lot of boot camps and having apprenticeship programs with them, and all the law enforcement, from
Mm,
GED, customs, the park police. We're very heavy in doing apprenticeship models and boot camp models for them to graduate out of their academy and post and become law enforcement officers, because there's a big shortage of that. Certified nursing assistants. We're doing that. So we got our fingers in a lot of different areas, and for our small population, that's where I feel we can make the best impact, is get people in uh, jobs where they can make a living, you know, and
yes.
not have to look for handouts, not be able to make it, not be able to afford a car. Now housing and all that stuff is a whole different thing, and that's where we're trying to look at that too. That's a whole different subject, but I hope, at least with this takeaway and this meeting, that you understand that apprenticeship and where we're looking to shift the AJC, because more and more people everything's on their phones, electronics. Our traffic coming in has dropped because we still get a lot of people coming in, but it
To
is
the Department of Labor offices, they're doing
American
more
Job Center.
electronic engagement.
Yeah, I mean, everybody can look for jobs online. They can apply online. They
Yeah.
can do this online. Uh, so we're trying to innovate a little bit too. So how we're trying to innovate is, a classic example is uh, um, job fairs. A lot of companies have
Yeah.
job fairs. So what I've been trying to tell you is, if you're going to do a job fair, let us help you. You know how much
Yes.
work it is, to bring these people in, to accept, make sure that their application is filled out properly, that they understand how to fill out an application, to understand what their job. You can interview. You got to interview them right there, because
Yeah.
they'd be lost as soon as they walk out that door. And uh, how that have that understanding, that's what our people are experts in. So, like McDonald's,
Partner and collaborate with DOL up front
when
to be successful.
McDonald's wanted to hold a job fair, I said, let us be your partners. We became their partners. We helped set up. We offer our services, our outreach services for the people that came in. You know, uh, if the transportation, whatever their problems is, we're there to help. But so McDonald's, we were there to also make sure that they fill out their application, so McDonald's can look at it and interview them, and not have to worry about the mechanics of it. That's how we help them. That's how we understood.
Right.
We wanted them, and we. I hope they were real happy, and that's where I want to do, is more getting out of our office and getting out to where the the work and the help is needed, and that's with the employees.
Yes.
Uh, I don't know if you
Yes.
were around a couple of years ago when we had that big job fair.
Yes.
It was huge. We had several thousand people. We had over 100 companies represented. We had a mini AJC there, so people can walk in and we had copying machines. We had people sitting down with you to help you understand how to fill out, because a lot of Micronesians, English is their second language, and
Mm.
they don't. Sometimes I don't know how to understand how to fill out an application because the questions are crazy. So we sit there, we help them, and they had a chance to talk to so many different companies. We're going to do that again, and we're going to do a huge job fair again.
Yeah,
Uh,
we need that kind of thing. I think that was a good success. I think that was a
and
good
not
success.
only that, but we also had the recruiters there. you know
Yeah.
so you had every job from hospitality to auto. We had, like I said, 100 companies and the recruiters, and they were all there to just satisfy whatever your questions, whatever your need. And we had some hotels hire 15, 20 people right there because they knew they didn't want them to go next door and get
Yeah.
picked up. So they were hiring
Right.
right there on the spot. And they, like I said, we had several thousand people walk in those doors, and I think that helps, takes the anxiety out, because some people, and I can understand it. It's like you going and looking, walking into a car dealer, the way they come at you, that you're pressured to buy. They want to, and sometimes when you go to a job fair for one company, you know, they're a little overwhelming. But when you go in and there's so many different companies, you can explore, you can talk, you can see, okay, maybe this is an opportunity I didn't even know existed in hospitality until I started talking to them, or automotive,
Right.
or health. Was, and it was a huge task to do, but I want to do it again. And that
Yeah.
forum was a great forum that we had with GRAP. We reached out. We had 100 companies, almost 100 uh, companies. These are different companies. I didn't want a forum where we had the same people all the time. And the people
Yeah.
that presented about how to join the Guam Registered Apprenticeship Program, what are the benefits, what were everything, were our biggest users. So you didn't have to listen to me like you are now, talking about how good this program is. No, you heard it from the users of the program, and they came in
Yeah. My
and
previous company, we used the program, and it was pretty successful. So I am a believer in it, and an actual user and beneficiary of it. So with that, why don't we go ahead and shift gears for a
sure.
second here? We've been talking about strategies and different programs that you're using to execute your strategy and stuff. Let's talk a little bit about foreign labor needs. And let's talk about a couple
Let me
different
hear
topics
something.
under that. One, if you could just kind of break down, you know, what is the H-1B visa? What's an H-2B visa? How are they used, particularly here in Guam? Talking about uh, foreign labor needs for the construction and the military buildup, and also any impacts or discussion topics on the president's latest executive order on um, the visa piece. So
That's
I'll
a
go
big
ahead
question.
and kick it over to you.
Yeah. So first off, the H-1B program isn't controlled by us. We have nothing to do with the H-1 program. That is all controlled by US DOL. And is for professional fields. Your engineers, your architects, your doctors, your accountants, CPAs. That's what the H-1 program is. And it has entirely different criteria. Usually, of course, you have to have your degrees, you uh, and that is subject to the caps. The H2 program is so the 100,000. I don't know what's going to happen with that program because it just can't be snapped in. There are are program rules, administrative things that they need to put in. And so my feeling is just not going to happen in the snap of a finger. And like a lot of the ideas the president have, they throw them out there and they see what happens with it. And we'll see what kind of evolves from that discussion, if it actually comes to fruition or not. Maybe it will. I don't know. But that's, I have no control over that. I don't even
Can
know
I
how many.
talk a little bit about H1 before you move on to H2?
Go ahead. I'll do my best.
So I've heard the argument from Guam Chamber of Commerce and others that there is a need and a particular missed opportunity right now for H1 kinds of needs to bring in um, engineers, certain technical kind of folks, the healthcare industry on Guam could certainly benefit from that. But we haven't pursued this and looked at using H1 more creatively to address Guam's long-term labor needs for these kind of technical healthcare and other kind of needs. What would you say to that?
I agree. But like I said, our island doesn't control H1s. We have zero control. That is something that is with USDOL. And like the H2 program, I think now is the best time to start flexing our muscles to try to get more control, get a better voice because of our strategic needs. We never, I mean, in
Yes,
the over 20 years of my service, never did I see an
yes,
opportunity to better take advantage. And
yes.
uh, because the H2 and the H1s, both, I mean, in 2016, they stopped the H2 program. I'm sure you're aware of that. So from
Yeah.
2016, and by the time I stepped into office, there were zero H2s here. Construction, the whole
Can
industry
you
was.
tell, go back and tell for the audience what's the H2? You explain the H1.
Okay, I'm
What's
sorry.
the H2 visa
The
about?
H2 program, which everybody is familiar, is the construction, and that those are the less skilled jobs. They don't require degrees. And before, when I was first director, we used to be able to bring in hospitality, landscapes, all the regular positions that nobody wanted to do here on Guam, especially when they're outside, and uh, maintenance, those kind of stuff. We were able to bring in all kinds of different job occupations that, after testing, nobody locally wanted to go to. Then uh, in 2016, that's when everything turned. USCIS, Department of Homeland Security, decided that the temporary, remember, H2 is supposed to be temporary in nature. They decided that our work was not temporary, it's always there. So even though
Right.
building one hotel is temporary, and once that hotel is done, all those workers go away, there's always another hotel, there's always another
Another project.
project,
Yep.
there's another this. But it's not like we have workers that can move around, because that's what the H2 is. We have a workforce of about 5, 6, 7,000 U.S. workers in the construction field. Some of them are from off island that are working here, but we've always had around 4,000 U.S. workers, Guam workers. But that is a drop in the bucket, especially now. Military came in. So let me backtrack. So in 2016, they said it wasn't temporary in nature, no more H2s. And basically, that shut down a lot of construction. And the military, when they were looking to build, they were panicking. So, of course, they went in and through the National Defense Authorization Act, they were able to get the exemption for military projects, those that are associated, directly involved, or um, had adverse effect. So that basically said they took all our workers. So basically all the construction workers. So those construction workers that are trying to do local projects, they're saying, hey, we were adversely affected. That was something that I was able to
Right.
get added after the program, where I can sign it that this company is adversely affected because there's no construction workers because they're all working in the military projects, so they can hire locally. So after 2019 and for the military, they got the exemption. So we were able to start bringing H2s back in but they had to have a military nexus and they also had to have a contract. I don't want to get too complicated, but that has been working now. It's been extended. Like I said, I was able to get the adversely affected, so that helped take care of outside the fence projects. So we can bring in people for building homes and for building outside the stuff. But the
Very
one thing
good.
I want to tell them is that what would you do if you were a company here? Would you want to build my house where I'm going to stand over you every day and and watch you build my house, or would you rather go inside the fence and take a $3 million, $10 million project and follow plans? That's why there's having such a hard time. A lot of people are subs of subs. They're doing military contracts because it's where the money is, you know. And the only ones, and I can pretty much say, and I don't mean this uh, racially or anything, the only ones that are building so many homes and making the killing are the Chinese construction companies that were left
Mm,
over because why? Because they can't go in the base. So there's a
mm.
lot of, I'm not saying they're the only ones, but they are making money hand over fist because and they're excellent workers. I'm telling you, their skill and their labor are very good. But it's hard to find construction workers to build your home. That's why it's so expensive. And it's just the simple fact that I'd rather build where the money is than have to build homes where the homeowners are changing this, changing that, pinching pennies, doing this. It's very small margins. And the cost of
Right.
materials have gone crazy that you can't just bid on a product. Okay, I can build that house for 250,000. Then everything changes, prices go up, and you end up losing. Your margins are harder. So I know I'm digressing all over the place here, so I'm trying to bring it back to you. So the biggest point that I want to get to and what we're working on is not just for the H1, but this is mainly for the H2, is, you know, we were working with the civilian military task force to try to do a
Yep.
one Guam approach and
Right.
try to come up with a visa program that was more permanent, that didn't have to go through the NDAA. And
Right.
let me say this, the military will always make sure that their mission is accomplished. So they're going through the NDAA route, and they're going to go through the route that they know they can guarantee success. I don't blame them. But the one Guam approach and getting they'll support it, but they're not counting on it. And they
Yeah,
got
but
to,
it's a shame because, like you said, there is really a need, whatever category you're talking about,
you
H1 or
know,
H2, there's a long-term need for foreign labor because of where we are. Guam
and
is different from continental US.
I do want to tell you that during this trip I was at, I went to DC and I met with Congressman Moylan, and we gave him our draft of our Guam workforce legislation, where,
Nice.
um, long story short, basically what it does, it allows the governor to certify the temporary certification, not USCIS. So if I
Nice.
have a need for landscapers, we will test the market. The governor will sign off of it. They have USCIS will have to accept it. If you need, if an industry comes in, and this is where I'm kind of circling around, a pharmaceutical industry comes in, manufacturing, or a data farm wants to come in and they have 300 jobs in pharmaceutical manufacturing. Do you think we have 300 people to do pharmaceutical manufacturing here in Guam? There's no way. My best thing is allow us to bring in the H2s. The company that opens up the business will hire those skilled H2s, and I will bring them, our people in, slowly but surely, build them up, because those H2s are temporary, and we will start training our workforce side by side to slowly build them out and the H2s out, because that's
Yeah.
how we diversify our economy and grow it. Whatever industry comes in, we don't have, you know, if a manufacturing company wanted to open up doors right now, they can't because we don't have the workforce. We don't.
Right.
Where we're going to get it? You know, if all the tourism were to come back right now, and we were to get up to 80, 90%, the hotels couldn't handle it. They don't have the
Yeah.
workforce. Uh, and that's where the H2s would come in and satisfy the short term need for our people to come in. And where would they come
Yes.
in? They would come in, those people who don't want to work, the 51,000 in uh, our unemployment report. They would come in. Those who left the island, and I estimate about 10,000 people left the island. We've lost in the last couple of years 1,000 jobs just from recruiters. I mean, we all heard when United came, right? I'm sure when they had a big hiring thing at the Hyatt, they hired a couple hundred people. I know my son's friends, all of them, all recent graduates. They all went. They're all working in Denver. I can't even go to Denver Airport. And hey, Uncle Dave, how you doing? No, you know, I've helped companies. I mean, that's part of what I do. Shipping companies that come in here, they utilize our services to recruit for their cruise ships. Manufacturing companies, meat packing companies, they come in here and they've hired people. And they're willing to pay them to go over there, give them housing, give them a hell of a salary. Who am I to stop that? You know, I'm here to help people get into careers. If they want to leave Island and they have that opportunity, I hope they'll come back and have that skill available to us. So if they have a manufacturing here, I know some of our people will come back and join that. I know our kids will come out of school. We'll put them into apprenticeship there. We'll grow it. But if they want to open up right now, they can't.
Right. And that's why I was very encouraged to hear that you're working with Congressman Moreland to do a more long-term, systemic kind of approach
The,
to our
the,
foreign labor needs because it's long-term and it's needed, and it's needed because Guam is different from the continental United States. If you're one of the you know, what they would call the lower 48 states. Your reality is something different, which also brings me to my next question. Are we
but I do
also
want to say,
proactively
I
working
would
with,
be remiss. Let me just at least put this plug in because I would be remiss.
okay?
That legislation was drafted with the help of consultants and the governor and lieutenant governor. A lot
Hmm.
of the stuff the the things that I talk about. Every time we had an apprenticeship graduation, the governor, lieutenant governor are there. These are key components to what they strongly believe. And
Yes.
I can't say how happy I that both are that we align perfectly and I have their support and I'm able to do what I'm doing because they are standing right beside me. And when I needed resources, when I needed their help, they've given it to me. And this legislation that we came up with, it bypasses the cap. It allows the governor uh, uh, certification. You don't need a contract because that was another problem. And it's a permanent situation. So now the military doesn't have to worry about going through NDAAs. They don't have to
Right.
worry about, oh, if there's a shift or if we have a company come in, because I know our only way for economic prosperity is to make sure, and I've told this military a lot, you're opening up all these bases, you got all this military company coming in, we will love that you're here as long as we're benefiting and we're able to prosper too. But if we see you prospering and us declining, there's going to be headbutting, you know? And it's
Yeah.
to their, advantage and to their, for them to help us and to allow
Right.
us to prosper. There's companies from Taiwan that want to open up businesses here. The resort, that
Right.
800 bedroom resort, that's going to have 300, 400 people working. You know, they got to build them. They got to, so these are, and that's why when I talk to you about H2s, is the key to getting them open, getting the workforce, and then, damn if I'm not going to slide right in there and work side by side and train our locals up and get rid of them. All right,
Yeah.
okay. I'm
Yeah.
done on that
No,
soapbox.
I was just going to say that, I'd be interested to know if you're already proactively working with the outer islands, other parts of Micronesia, Philippines, etc.,
Oh,
on maybe
I'm glad you brought
active
that up. I
uh,
can, I totally.
programs,
Oh,
internships, training, pipelines, and stuff like that to help feed Guam's needs.
uh, the one thing yes, in the Micronesian Island Forum, uh, I was part of the workforce with that. And that is basically all the governors from all the islands get together and they talk about how to cooperate from education to health to workforce to all kinds, industry. And the one thing I am trying to drive to them is like in the Micronesian islands is, they have good enough internet capabilities that help us align when your people are migrating over here to make sure that we can help them find work, to make sure that they bring the proper information. You know, you need to have your, where you're at, your job stuff. You need to be job ready. We can help you with that. Get them over here so that they're not lost and and overwhelmed when they come here. So we have been working with these islands and trying to set up avenues. I know they're doing trade programs again. They're looking at starting that up again to help. I know Bert with Trades Academy has been talking with them. I don't know where they're at yet, but all I'm trying to get is when they migrate over here, let's help them get better prepared. You
Right.
gotta, you gotta have your paperwork. You don't wait till you hear they say, oh, you need my birth, you need to have something, you need to have my grades, you need to have my high school degree, you need to have this. Oh, well, let me wait, let me get it. I gotta call somebody there to send it. No, be prepared, have understanding. We can. There are certainly a lot of jobs here, and we can align them and help them get started so when they land here, they can get off that plane running instead of being overwhelmed. So,
Yeah.
that's a start, and that's where I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah, it absolutely did. And I tell you, this has been a great um, episode and a great, sharing of your insight and all of the great work
I
that
probably got 20
you
other
and your
questions
team have
you
been
want to
doing.
go through. I was worried about filling enough time. I've always been long-winded, so I've
No,
enjoyed it.
sir. Director, I really appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule today. Thank you for your insights. It was really an amazing conversation. I really appreciate you. And to my audience, I hope you all were inspired and you learned something new today. Workforce development is so key to everything that we want to do in terms of uplifting the island, in terms of economic development, innovation, and quality of life. So remember to follow me on all social media platforms, including Substack. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share to stay up to date on all future episodes. And don't forget to check out my Innovate column in the Pacific Daily News every first and third Friday of the month. See you next time. And remember, whether you're at work, at home, or play, always innovate. Thank you so much.